No need to ask, he's a smooth operator. Smooth operator. Smooth operator. Smooth operator.
Coast to coast, LA to Chicago.
Western mail across the north and south. Yo, shout out my guy, Mahib. My guy
That's not
Mahib
his
is
real
out
name,
here in
though.
Chicago, but every time he
Dude,
closes a piff, I always call him Smooth Operator.
that's not his real name. It's Money Mohib.
Money Mahib. Or I also go back to Magic Mahib sometimes as well too. But yeah, we were chatting in Slack last week. I think Mahib he ended up closing like I think it's like 8.5K piff. And then I saw that I was like, yo, smooth operator.
Oh man, what's up with you? What's new in Peter's world?
What's new in the world? We just wrapped up Q3, man. I'm about to hit some Q4 planning with my team at the end of this week. But now things are good, man. Fitness is feeling good. Business is cranking, dude. I know I was sharing with y'all over in Slack some of the wins, but we hit two back-to-back 40K weeks. And it's been I don't think we've ever done that. So things are just rolling full steam right now, dude.
That's fucking amazing. Yeah, we hit our PR so far, which is awesome. I think we'll probably close at like 81 for the month. And
Let's go.
the dope part is like I don't contribute much anymore. Like since a lot of the focus is on moment education and GGC.
Yep.
But I think it's still kind of one of those things where one, my main role, right, is to develop our staff clinically and also help them
Mm.
with business and sales. Boom. And this is how we're going to transition to today's podcast, where we're going to talk about how we're helping our clinicians on sales. Peter,
Ripping sales team training, man.
if that was a
Yeah,
dive, what are you rating that? If that was an Olympic dive, what are you rating that transition?
I'm saying 9.5, dude.
9.5.
That was
9.5.
that was quite spot on. Very minimal splash, very smooth. Perfect with the intro song as well too, dude. We're dialed in today, man. Um,
No, no,
but
but everything's been, we've been chilling. It's kind of like, I'm not sure if you ever get into this like funk of like when you see so much opportunities and potential, you almost feel overwhelmed with like, or like, I don't say you feel overwhelmed, but you don't appreciate now because you're just thinking like, I can't wait to like get that
mm,
shit dialed in. And I think I just had that for like the past 2 weeks where I've just been grinding. And not realizing I'm like, yo, you can still chill and enjoy right now as you're grinding to build all those things.
yeah, for sure. I think one of the cool things about, having all these consistent opportunities is like I always feel super motivated like to wake up. Like I wake up early, I'm like, yo, I've got all these things I want to crank out today. And I don't know, I just hope I never get to a point where I just have nothing to do. And I just wake up, I'm like, damn, now what? But no, it's always really good to have something to kind of work towards. And especially, yeah, once you do achieve it, right? It's like, hey, you've got all these other things that you can always continue to kind of move the needle forward as well too. But yeah, it's always good to just chill out every now and then to kind of refill that cup as well.
Yeah, I just fucking yesterday I was like, fuck, I need no, not yesterday. Yesterday was Sunday. I was like, fuck, I'm just gonna watch football, get a workout in.
Bro, do
Ate
you
a
do
donut.
fantasy?
No, I don't do fantasy. I can't. I'd be too neurotic, bro. Like if I do if I do fantasy, I'm like doing fantasy. Like it'd be the
Yeah,
first thing
you're
that.
all in on it.
Yeah, I can't do. You?
Last time I did fantasy was back in PT school. But I recently got looped into a league here, so I hadn't done fantasy for probably 5 or 6 years now. Bro, after I'm 0-4, I'm in last place.
Oh my
It is
gosh!
awful, man.
Would you draft all the Jag players?
Nah. But all right, so we're talking about last place punishment. So we decided last place punishment. This is what you have to do. You gotta dress up like you're elite runner. So speed goggles and everything, singlets, the carbon plated shoes, the arm sleeves, everything. And then what you have to do is you gotta go pace the slowest marathon group.
It's just so
So it's like the 6 hour or I don't know, whatever it is, the 15-minute mile pace group. Like you gotta dress up like that, and then you gotta go pace that group. So
brother, that's gonna
I'm
give
like, shit,
someone
man.
femoral pain.
Yeah. Like,
If they're used to being elastic and bouncy, and now there's more joint excursion, that person can get some patellofemoral pain real quick.
catch me at that 120 steps per minute cadence.
Yeah. Oh man, but where do we even start, right?
I think,
For
dude, my mindset has kind of shifted quite a bit because over the years, initially, whenever I would make a sale, I would feel like super pumped about it for myself. But then now I think whenever, like in our own internal like Slack channel in our win section, whenever I have all of our PTs throwing in like wins off of like 10-week PIF, or SDRs throwing, hey, like close, 10 evals today, that's like an even better feeling because now I know, hey, like I've done something to be able to, build these people up from a skill set standpoint so they can go out and be able to impact and change more lives than versus just purely going through it just myself.
yeah,
And I'm sure like you probably feel the same exact way too, right? Dude, like you guys did 81K this past month and you contributed what, like 5K to it maybe?
one piff, baby. Come on.
One
And
piff.
actually, no, two.
Two. There you go. Five to
I
six
had,
K.
yeah, we had someone drive from out of town to come see us, and I was just like, man, do I
Fuck
still
yeah.
got it? It was a last minute because she got stuck in traffic, and then I had to take over the second half of the eval since our therapist set it back to back, and
Hmm.
still got it, still got it. Um, but no, I feel the same way, man. Like with most of the things that we do, especially when you're teaching, I think your goal should be the other person's outcome, right? Like that should feel so much better if you really start to wear that teacher's hat. But I think the where I kind of move towards now, especially with like making if we're going to do some sort of training, it's always like, did I even hire the right person first?
Mm,
So what are like for me, like I think things that I look for, it's like just general confidence.
yeah.
And you can ask certain questions, but just seeing how people take feedback, what kind of experiences they've had in the past. I really like experiences where people have had to talk to a lot of people, service jobs and things like that. I like to see collegiate sports or some sort of sporting background because those people know what it's like to like work on a skill. But is there anything on your end from a hiring perspective where you're like, you can almost tease out whether someone can handle sales?
I think we're just very super upfront with them from the get go. I think that was one of the mistakes that I made before in the past, where our first initial PTs, we weren't doing any kind of internal sales training at all, and then we started trying to implement all these things. I'm like, whoa, like what is all this stuff? Like I'm not used to this at all. Objection handling, like going over game tape, like what the heck is this? Whereas now, yeah, like we have a very big culture on sales, closing at our company here, and so very get from the very get go, from the beginning, with anybody that we bring on, we let them know, hey, like, we're very big on sales here. We go through like heavy, extensive sales training for you guys, objection handling. We do ongoing weekly sales training. Is that something that you're comfortable with? And then asking them, hey, like, have you had any kind of past experiences with sales? And oftentimes the answer is no, right? Because again, everyone, majority of PTs, I don't expect them to have a background in sales. But every now and then, you might have somebody who actually, like, like our latest PT that we brought on, Kaylee. She ended up working in retail before she got into PT school. And so I was asking her a little bit about that. Right? Yeah, very unique background. But and so with kind of the way, people being exposed to different things like that, even though it's much lower ticket, compared to kind of what we're selling here, it still kind of gives them a little bit of a little bit of understanding and appreciation, and that sales is really just really good communication at the end of the day. But yeah, I mean, we've had PTs that we talk to on the interview. We let them know, hey, like what our sales process is like. We let them know like what our ongoing training, and they're just like, hey, like I don't think this is a good fit for me, and that's totally cool. That's totally fine. But I always just like to be as upfront as possible. That way, again, like there are no misunderstandings. Everyone's all on the same page whenever they do end up joining our team.
Yeah, I love that. And I think most people get super nervous about it, right? And it's
Yeah.
like it's okay to get nervous about it and have like the right reaction. It's like, hey, that's definitely something new, but I'm willing to learn is better than like, ooh, I don't know. I'm not good at sales. If that's like your first response when someone's like, oh, this is a sales heavy job, and you, oh damn, I'm not that good at sales. It's like maybe you've got a fixed mindset, right? And I think those are things that you want to tease out. It's like, is someone capable of change? If I ask a question of like, hey, are you someone that like learns really quickly on their feet, right? And like handles
Mhm.
themselves and does transitions pretty well? Like, can you give me an example of a time like where, you're kind of thrown into a role and you had to learn a lot really quickly within a short period of time in order to make a successful transition? Can you point to those things? Do you hedge yourself on those experiences? Like those kind of conversations I think are helpful, because some people will literally not be able to point anything out. But if you're the type of person with a growth mindset, always developing skills, you could probably count on one hand. You could probably count at least with one hand, like a couple of experiences where like you put yourself somewhere super uncomfortable. Like Peter, if I was like, hey, how many times in a past like few years have you done something out of your comfort zone and you had to make that transition quick? You'd be like, oh, super easy. Like laundry list of stuff. But if someone can't give you any example, chances are they don't push themselves. And I think that's a big part of sales.
I was just actually thinking about this while you mentioned that. So here's a really good idea. You can probably even do some sort of live interaction to see how they respond to maybe potentially some critique. And so this is something that we've done with our SDRs when we're interviewing them. But now I was just thinking about it, and I'm like, man, we should probably do the same thing for the PTs. But for all of our SDRs, we want to really make sure they're very, very coachable, right? Because they're going through a shit ton of like calls every single day. They experience a lot more objection handling compared just due to the sheer number of volume compared to our PTs. And so for them, one of the parts and the stages of the interview process we'll go through is just a live role play, and we'll give them a script and we'll kind of go through it. And what I'll do is I'll intentionally, even if they follow everything appropriately, I'll just tell them, hey, look, no, like make sure you say it like this, or hey, no, change something over here. And I'll kind of continue to critique them at least 5 or 6 times just to see like how they respond to kind of that type of coaching. Are they like willing? Okay, cool, yeah, I understand that. Like, let me go ahead, let me give that try again. Or do they get like super frustrated and they're just like, yeah, no, screw this? Because we definitely want somebody who's very moldable, coachable, willing to play to whatever playbook that this team that they're about to come on to. And so I don't know, I was just thinking, man, like we don't do any kind of live role play for PTs, but if we are letting them know, hey, like sales is a big deal involved, like we might as well do some sort of like mini role play, and again, just kind of see, hey, what is their tonality like? How do they respond to critique, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I love that. And we do that for whenever we have a PC and when we're about to hire a PC, we'll have them do a treating session, and then I give
Yep,
them feedback at the end just to see how well they take that feedback.
love it.
Now, to the actual, all right, I'm going to train someone that's just joining our team. I know you've got some modules built out. We've got some modules built out. What does that look like? Like, is it like, where do you start? Is it the mindset shift? Do you go into like principles?
I would say mindset is probably the biggest one. Yeah, just letting them know, hey, like you're worth more than just a $30, $40 copay from the value that you're able to provide. Because I think that's the biggest thing, especially when we bring on somebody who's been working in an insurance setting. Right? All they've been thinking about is like, okay, cool. Like people are used to paying a $45 copay. And they think, oh, great, cash pay. Like I get to work with clients one on one. And then they don't realize, like, okay, great. In order for me to work with somebody one on one, I need to be able to sell them onto something first. And so I think, yeah, that's probably something that's very common for a lot of people. But yeah, working through a lot of mindset stuff, man. Just even getting them used to saying the word like 2,500, 3K, 3,500, right? Sometimes even just saying that loud number of like however much the planning here is, like, bro, we've had some PTs and like we'll go through role play and then they'll just kind of mumble and jumble over those words. And it's totally normal because I used to be the same way too. Right. But again, like one of the main things we just want to make sure is like, hey, they understand, they're able to provide a really good product. I think that really stems just from like being very confident in clinical skills first. I think that's something that we talk a lot about first is really just making sure your product is dialed in. And then once you know your product is really, really dialed in, then you again like your conviction is going to go through the roof, your confidence is going to go through the roof. You're like, cool, now, yeah, like what I'm able to provide people is worth 3K, 4K, etc.
Yeah. The the service mindset and the things that we always talk about, I think it's like people have to, because like there's no matter how good clinically you are, like you can't deliver any service unless someone actually decides to come back, right? And like buy into the things that you're doing. And honestly, all of the things that help close a sale are the same things that help people buy into the plan of care. Like none of these things are like it's all within the same gradient. And I think it was someone on Instagram, like, it doesn't matter if whether or not you believe in the psychosocial model or not, it still exists, right? It's
Mhm.
like it doesn't matter whether or not you care about sales. Like it's literally everywhere. Like sales exists in every aspect of your life. So if you neglect it, there are aspects of your life that can get significantly better. And if you actually decide to pursue things, like those things will change. With with the mindset shift, I think most people already have that kind of expectation now that one-on-one physical therapy is, revolved around sales.
Mhm.
I usually try to help our clinicians feel like comfortable in the sense of like the first thing that I'll say to clinicians is like, I expect you to fail, right? I want you to fail. I want you to come to us with like specific problems and scenarios that we can troubleshoot, but I don't expect you to be perfect, right? Like the sales things, it's all a learning experience and creating a. I think the one thing to remember, it's not easy for someone to learn if they don't feel safe, right? So
Yeah.
you have to set the expectation that feedback is a crucial aspect of being a member of the team, and everyone on this team fails. It's just a matter of, are you going to do anything different, right? Are you going to show up to the meeting and actually present actual cases, or like are you just like flying by the edge of your seat and like, yeah, I don't really remember. I think it was this. Oh, it could have been this. It's like, no, you got to give concrete stuff so that we can go over it. So I think we go through their mindset stuff, but this is like part of the onboarding. I try to make sure that our clinicians feel extremely safe to fail.
Love it, man. Yeah, one of the things that we do at the end of the week, every PT submits a end of week report on Slack in the Slack channel, and there's one part that basically talks about, hey, like what were your evals that you had this week, and regardless of if they closed or if they didn't close, they give like a little blurb in terms of like how they felt the eval overall went. If they did close, great. Like, what did I feel like I did well with it? And obviously they have the recordings to listen back on, to reflect on even more in depth if they need to. And then also too, like on the ones that didn't close, like cool, like what were the objections? Where did I potentially miss something? Maybe in the discovery, like was it maybe I wasn't clear enough? Did I not screen out a spouse ahead of time? What was it specifically that I felt like I missed, and what should I do differently next time? And I think it's really good to have them self reflect on it, because it kind of just it triggers a different learning process versus just like somebody telling them, oh, like you did this wrong, like you should go ahead and do this instead. But now they're taking the time to actually do a much deeper dive and do some self analyzation instead. Let me ask you this, dude. Like, how soon are y'all's PTs like doing live evals?
Probably not until like a month and a half to 2 months in.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, because currently I think it's like they'll get a couple of transition patients where it's like, hey,
Yeah.
this patient's like, you'll be good to handle this patient. Um, Usually like longer term patients or people that are
Hmm.
super well aware of like moment, they'll get it. And then afterwards, like we try to give them a lead that's like fairly warm
Yep.
already, right? It's like you're probably gonna knock this out of the park. You just have to like be a good clinician. Like they know exactly what's expected. They're excited to come in. They've already had shitty physical therapy.
Yeah.
Now the leads that come in, that are more complicated, right? It's like, yeah, I've had, chronic neck issues. I've seen this, blah, blah, blah. It's like a laundry list of stuff. And the symptoms seem very like all over the place. It's like, yeah, probably don't want that to be your first eval.
Yep.
But someone with, maybe they've got some knee and hip pain. They've done the typical physical therapy. They're like, I'm so sick of that. I just want to work with a performance therapist. Like those are the kind of evals we get first. And then
Yeah.
as we start to gauge their confidence, they start to get the more complicated evals.
I love that. I think, yeah, one of the big parts of them being successful is them feeling confident in their own abilities, and you almost kind of have to kind of like breadcrumb them a little bit, right? Set them up for success with like the easy word of mouth, and that way, hey, maybe their first like 3 or 5, they're closing, they're confident in their abilities, and then we slowly kind of give them the harder leads, coming from like pay traffic and whatnot. Yeah, because I mean, dude, like when I first brought on my first couple PTs, like we did not do that at all, man. And our process has changed significantly. But dude, like this is what we used to do. It's like, hey, all right, new PT comes on. We do like heavy first week. All right, sales, sales, sales. Throw everything at them, inundate them, and then all right, cool. Their schedule's empty. We're gonna blast their entire schedule full of new evals, and then all of a sudden they get overwhelmed. They go like 30% close rate. I'm over here. I'm pissed off because I'm like, dude, that's a 3K plan of care that's just lost. We're going even more in depth into sales. They're getting frustrated, and it just was a giant, giant mess, man. But Yeah, now it was quite a learning process, but yeah, now we definitely do a much more kind of like slower transition, right? They come on very similar to what you guys do. We usually transition them onto existing clients that already, been here for a while, membership and or just closed, so they can fulfill out the plan of care. After a month and a half, they feel pretty good with fulfillment, client care, and even with that, right, they can get some sort of little taste into selling with getting people from packages onto membership, right?
Yeah.
That's like a very very easy kind of smooth transition, much less intimidating than selling like a 3K plan of care, right? But yeah, and then from there, stepping them into a really nice, warm word of mouth lead, and then as they get a little more comfortable, we'll kind of throw some paid traffic at them, kind of see how they do. But yeah, it was quite a learning journey for us.
Yeah, I want you guys to almost think of it. It's football season, right? So it's kind of like, what do you do when a rookie quarterback starts playing, right? You're not gonna be like, all right, let's do the most complex play in the playbook. It's
Yeah.
kind of like, all right, let's get some short passes. Let's get some short passes. Let's get you running the ball. All right, you feeling yourself. All right, now let's let you like really fling it and throw some longer passes and stuff like that. But I think when you're onboarding someone new, it's like easy wins. How can you get them some easy wins, build their momentum? And like you said, just get them acclimated to being in an environment. Like some people are coming from an insurance clinic, they haven't talked to someone for a full hour yet. And that's part of the sales process, right? Because like you have to be enjoyable to be around.
Yeah. So going back to the modules, right, or the different phases of the sales process that we kind of teach our PTs, we split it up into what is it? I think like four different phases for them to kind of go through over the first 90 days. So yeah, the first one is mindset. The next one we specifically go in this order just because I feel like they kind of really build on each other in terms of like order of importance. So the second one is really just going to be when it comes down to the pitch, right? So are they confident? Can they deliver the pitch in terms of like being very clear on what's going to occur at each one of these phases, the price drop, etc. So that's the second one. The third one is going to be the discovery. So, hey, are we, pre-screening all these objections in this objective? And can we make it seem like a very normal part of the conversation as they're asking them, a little bit more about, what's going on from a clinical standpoint, but then also meshing in these discovery questions in there. And then we save objection handling for the very, very, very last, right? Because I really do believe that, like, hey, if you do a really good job from being able to, pitch with conviction, the eval sitting there in front of you, here's, hey, this clinician is confident in terms of being able to get them to the end goals, and then you also do a good job screening out objections and pre-handling them ahead of time. Like, you won't get any kind of objections at all, and it's like that's probably one of the biggest things that I feel like PTs just like hate or fear the most. Is just like, oh gosh, like what do I do when I get an objection? Like, how do I handle that, et cetera, et cetera. And then at the very last, yeah, we go through different objection handling, frameworks, and whatnot. And what we'll do is we'll kind of go as we go through each one of these different modules. We'll kind of go through kind of like a self rate and like a mentor rate on a scale of like 0 to 3. Three being like, hey, I'm like super confident, and like one being like, hey, like complete newbie. And really, what we want is like for both the new PT as well as the clinic director, whoever's coaching them on it, to both feel like, hey, they're up to that 3. Because I think sometimes in the past, there may be some potential misinterpretation where like maybe one party feels like, yo, like you're doing great, and then the other person's like, no, like I'm not feeling confident at all.
Yeah.
And so I think like having that scale with both parties just really gives a good insight in terms of like clarity on, hey, are we both aligned on where we're at, and if not, like what do we need to do to kind of continue to help get you up there? And what we'll do is we'll kind of take turns being like the PT, and then take turns being the eval, and then kind of so that they can kind of see what it looks like from both sides, and then mix in multiple different body parts as well too.
I love that. I like the I rate, like you'll rate it yourself, the
Yep.
mentor, and then the mentee rates themselves as well, just to see if there's any like huge discrepancies. Just you may be like, you're doing great, let's move on. And the other person's kind of afraid to speak and be like, yo, I
Yeah.
actually feel like trash on that side of things. I think role playing is something that, we didn't implement a lot initially. It was just kind of like, hey, here's the things and like, let's get after it. And I think that's also been like a huge in just regards to like positioning it in a way where it's like, hey, role playing is going to be awkward, right? Like we're not going to beat around the bush. But if you can do awkward role playing with us, sales with potential clients will be way easier. Like it'll actually flow a little bit smoother. And the key here, whenever you're doing sales, that no one actually thinks about is actually the musculoskeletal aspect of it, right? Like when you say certain words, certain numbers, like you have to train your mouth and facial muscles to do those things. So the fact that you can constantly do it in practice, it's so much easier when you actually work with someone live.
Yeah, it
But
just
do you have a
becomes muscle
like a
memory at that
yeah?
point. Yeah.
Do you have like a framework that you utilize for like the sales objection? I mean, not sales objection. Role playing.
Yeah, so we try and when it comes to like I guess like the pitch in terms of explaining things, we really try and have everybody follow like the very same frameworks in terms of the same exact words. What I've realized is that if you can basically kind of develop the same things that you're saying over and over again for different evals coming in, but again, you just adjust out different parts based on body parts and etc. It basically becomes like second nature, and you don't become phased at all, and you've done so many repetitions of it over and over again. In terms of role play, I think one of the things that has been really helpful is really just mimicking the environment as much as possible when it comes to like a live eval. So when we are role playing, we're setting up in the same exact room that they would typically set up in. Cool. Where are you going to be sitting when you do present to them, the plan of care? Where are you going to be standing when you're presenting the three phases on the whiteboard? Go ahead and repeat it like exactly in that position. That way, if you're practicing it exactly like, how you're going to be doing it live, when it is live, it just feels like, hey, it's just another like practice rep.
Yeah. Uh, you gotta go super super sport. I still want you to wear the recording device. I want you to wear everything so it feels like the actual game. But I like that you recreate everything as much as you can because it's not like you said, right? It's being able to say those words, but also the body language is a huge part because you might be really good at saying those words, but your body language looks like absolute ass. One thing we always want to be able to communicate too is like where is this, because you kind of have like the different phases, right? It's like sales for the discovery call to POC to ongoing care, etc. So the different phases, it's always good to communicate with your PTs. What does the patient actually know within each of those phases? And when someone comes in for an evaluation, it's like they've already committed to a certain price. They have expectations of the packages and what they cost. So all you really have to do is be a really fucking good PT and communicate how you're going to change their lives.
Yeah.
I think that sometimes helps, right? Because I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can like get someone to commit that kind of money. It's like they've already essentially said that they were willing to by stepping through that door because they already know all the information prior to coming in. And I
Yeah.
think that gives the PTs in our team, especially when they're starting out, a ton of relief. It's like, okay, there is already a pricing expectation. They're not going to hear this for the first time and be like, whoa, that's more than expected.
hmm Yeah, and one of the things I tell them is like, hey, like it is your ethical obligation to do everything that you can to help this person. And every time I think about it, I'm just like, and I jokingly say this to our PTs that if they don't close, I'm like, bro, you're gonna let Miss Sally walk out of here and live with shoulder pain for another six months to another year? She's already been dealing with it. How is she gonna be able to get back to doing XYZ? Like, how can you do this to Miss Sally? Well, that's like an ongoing joke that we have internally with our team. But I think when I first kind of heard about that knowledge, I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like if I don't do everything that I can in my power to be able to help this woman, get the help that she needs, like she's most likely going to continue living with it. And even worse, like have it progress into something that requires something a little bit more invasive. And then every time we get a new Google review that comes in, I'm like, yo, great job selling her. She wouldn't have been able to get here if you had not sold her. But I think that's also another really good thing too with when it comes to sales is like you got to reaffirm your team that like what they are doing is changing lives. And every single weekly team meeting that we have, one of the first things that we do right after wins is we go and read like what were the Google reviews that we had from last week, and just kind of having the PTs listen about like, hey, all the client success that's been going on. And everything really just, I feel like it helps build up their conviction and confidence to be able to sell people into these programs so that they can get the help that they need.
Yeah, and I think we kind of communicate this within our group as well. The people that we're coaching, it's like it only takes one PIF, and it's a possibility, right? So if you can give your PTs an easy win, it's like, cool. Now within your world, there is a moment in time where someone paid in full for your service, so you know that it's possible, and that's what
Mhm.
we mean by easy wins, right? Like when you And if you've ever played a sport before, it's like, all right, let me like, oh man, I'm just so nervous. Let me just serve this ball in the court. All right, cool. Like we got that going, right? And I think once you can see it happen, once you're good to go. Same thing with an objection. You might be like, is this objection thing even worth it? Then you handle an objection for the first time. You're like, wow, it is, right? So always think about that and celebrate those things, right? And communicate it. I think oftentimes it's like we're not communicating the significance of stuff. So it's like when you get the first one, it's like, dude, told you got it, right? And most people are like, yeah, I've had multiple PTs where we celebrate like legitimately, like, let's go.
Yeah. Dude, I think that's such a good analogy that you just had with like when you're playing sports and you're super nervous about maybe like doing something for the first time, but in order to like get those nerves out, in order for it to actually occur, you have to actually like swing the ball and commit to the action of, if it's like swinging a bat and or letting the ball release from your hand if you're shooting hoops, right? You can't just be like, "Oh, I think I'm going to go halfway," and then like bring it back down. And I feel like a lot of times when it initially comes to sales, people I like think about it in the head, like, okay, I know I need to say this. I know, and they're like trying to hype themselves up, and then they kind of just back down again. But like literally, yeah, you just have to like take action, like actually execute on it, and then put it out there and kind of see what happens.
Yeah. Oh man, I just had a thought in my head. I forgot what I was gonna mention about it. Oh,
Pitch.
it's killing me. It's killing me. Um, but any other thoughts on like kind of training your PTs on sales?
It's an ongoing process, and I never like, hey, if somebody has a bad week, it's very normal. I never like kind of get.
I got now. I remember what I was gonna
You
say.
are okay, cool. Yeah, like it's dude, I don't really kind of like get on them too much about it. The main thing that I want for our team to do is like, hey, like we're consistently looking to improve. And even like, hey, when we have like a 90% close rate on the week, we're always like digging a little bit deeper into like, hey, like, well, what do we feel like we did well and kind of reviewing on that and what can we continue to do to kind of optimize in. Yeah, I think one of the things too is just potentially increasing the frequency of which you guys are training. Um, I We did this with our front desk SDRs recently, and it's made a tremendous change from the sales conversion. But we used to meet with our front desk SDRs like once a week for training. Now I meet with them once a day for the first 30 minutes of every single day for a daily morning huddle, and we review like what were the calls like from yesterday. Now for evals, right? Like we get a lot less. The evals are a lot less frequent than maybe like somebody calling in on a daily basis. But same thing, like one thing that we just recently implemented in literally like halfway through this month was instead of doing once a week, like sales training, now we're doing 2 times a week, sales training. So one is specifically for like call recordings, and then giving feedback on that. And then the second one is really just for like, hey, role play. Because what we realized was like, hey, like, um, with all the different call recordings, we can only get through like maybe like a couple in that 1 hour we have blocked off. And so in addition to that, we need a little bit more training for the role play and everything. But I think another thing too, I want to kind of touch upon is like you just have to make it fun and gamify it, dude. I think a lot of times people like I almost like kind of take it too seriously. Like, yeah, you want to take it seriously, right? Like you have 3K on the line, but if you can kind of make it fun, gamify it for your PTs and everything, like it just makes it a lot better feeling from like I think from an overall company culture standpoint.
Yeah, you pretty much hit the same point that I think I
That
was
you were
going to
gonna say
bring up.
earlier.
Yeah, it's kind of like there's this aspect of like I remember I used to tell people that when you work in a one-on-one setting and you work in moment, it's a very high pressure environment, right? And like that can easily make life pretty miserable.
Yeah.
So now I tell people it's
You're
like,
saying working at your clinic is super high
yeah,
pressure?
yeah.
Really?
I'm
Oh
like,
shit.
I used to say that it's high pressure. It's sales. Like you got to make stuff happen.
Yeah.
Like you got to make things happen. I completely changed in the past year. I was like, it's all good, dude. Like the only thing that I care about is that like whatever it is that you're doing, if you don't get the outcome that you want, or even if you do get the outcome that you want, what could you have potentially? What did you like that you did, and what could you have done better? And if you've got that, you are gonna be fine. Like, and we've taken this kind of characteristic or like thought process of like take it seriously but don't take it personally, right? Take it seriously, don't take it personally. We
Yeah.
say that all the time, but dude, I used to say that all the time. Like it, like I would be like, yeah, like a 101 clinic is high pressure because you've
Yeah.
got to convert and do these things. Completely shifted. It's like, hey, totally get it, right? It's sales and stuff at the end of the day, but the only thing that you need to worry about is just reflecting. And as long as you're reflecting and willing to take feedback, you will get better through osmosis. You don't even have to stress it anymore. It's a complete change in like how people respond, I guess, to everything. But yeah, I
Yeah.
used to say that because that's kind of what you hear, right? Like you're just like monkey see, monkey do. And you hear that all the time. People are like, yeah, when you're working on one-on-one setting, it's higher pressure. And I'm like, damn. It wasn't until I, broke that down with a therapist where I was like, yeah, it sounds fucking miserable.
Yeah. Um, dude, how hyped were your PTs when they first sold their first PIF?
I remember one of them last year. I was literally at the hospital because I had to cancel all my appointments. My dad was in the hospital,
Oh
and
shit.
he called me. He goes, "Yo, I sold a piff," and I was like, "Let's
Yeah.
go!" I stepped outside. I was like, "Let's go!" The first is always like it's nice to yeah. It's nothing like the
It's
first.
a memorable moment for sure because yeah, like they do all this training, it builds up to it, and then they finally like get it. Like they're pumped about it. Like you're even more pumped because you're not the one doing the sales, and you actually demonstrated, hey, like I'm an effective teacher and I can coach somebody up to be able to do this thing. So yeah, it's a good feeling for sure.
Any is there anything that we haven't touched up on for training? I would just remember that one the main thing, right? Like Peter said, like make it fun and just create that environment to let them know that like it's okay to fail. Like there's never if you're not setting that up as an expectation,
Yeah.
people are just gonna be either failing in silence and not telling you about it because they're too afraid to speak up, or they're just like gonna burn out because they're always on high alert and like I've made those mistakes.
I think it's all about a lot of it boils down to culture and the expectations that you set and manage, and because it all stems from you at the very very top. And so, for you as the owner, if you have multiple clinicians or you're looking to bring somebody on in the future, like even if you don't like sales, you have to learn it and you have to at least like fake it that you like it. Otherwise, like if your clinicians and your staff see that, oh gosh, like even the owner doesn't like sales, he feels icky about it, like dude, what are they going to think? So yeah, it's just everything. If you make sales like a big part of your culture and you make it seem like this big fun thing, people get a reward off of it, hey, we're changing lives with sales, then it's going to reflect on your PTs as well too. But if you make it something else, then they're going to take it as it is. So you got to change yourself first, and then from there everything will follow.
And just like you create stories to help like your patients make decisions, right? It's like, hey, I had a patient that was in a very similar circumstance as you. Would you be open to me like kind of telling you what happened? Like, oh yeah, sure. Same thing with the PT. It's like, hey, like I know you're like super nervous about sales, but I've seen so many people now that suck at it initially, super worried about it, and they absolutely crush it in the future. So it's like you can paint this picture of hope, right? Like people need some degree of confidence in order to take that next step. And if you don't know anyone, just fucking say it anyway. Let them believe so.
You gotta you gotta sell your staff on sales.
Yeah, you gotta sell them on sales, but hopefully you don't have to.
I feel like, dude, ever since diving a lot more into sales the last 2 3 years, I've just become a lot better of a active listener and a better communicator for sure.
Yeah,
I think yeah, those are two byproducts that if you really hone in your sales muscle, like it's gonna tremendously compound.
yeah. Yo, guys. Wait, Peter, is there any last bit?
No, dude, I'm ready to hear the ratings, dude. Where we at?
Yeah, guys.
Guys,
Oh,
guys, 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 guys.
oh my goodness. We are at 45-star reviews. That's big. That's big. And honestly, like, it's kind of crazy because, like, we're almost on 5,000 downloads, I think. And
Oh
then
yeah, dude.
the thing
Bro,
I'm
what
most
what what episode are we on, man?
we're on this episode 43. So seven episodes away
43,
from 50, which
50.
is
All right, yeah, y'all gotta let us know what banger of a topic do you guys want us to talk about for number 50? I feel like it's a big one.
I think number 50 we could talk about the podcast. That'd be kind of cool. But yo, I'm looking at like what are the longest podcast episodes we have. Most of them are like fairly similar. There's one outlier. Guess which one it is.
Oh, I don't know, man. I feel like all of our topics are fairly similar. Yeah.
Reflecting on the losses we had. That was the
Ah.
longest.
Oh man, yeah, that one was that our most listened to?
No, the most listened to is on how to build trust with potential clients.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so another it's
Every
sales,
every,
right?
every
Sales.
marketing and sales one does
Yeah.
extremely well. But yeah, Peter and I were chatting it up today, and we're just like, yo, all of our stuff is for a lot of people that are kind of just getting going. So we're going to start to pump out a couple more episodes for people that have already scaled the team, and now they're trying to figure out how to optimize that a little bit better. So just be on the lookout for that. And honestly, if you're just getting going, it's just good to listen to thoughts, right? Like we're always going to sprinkle gems, so like you'll get better through osmosis. Like if you want to become a good entrepreneur, you just got to surround yourself with them. And if there's no one around, podcast is how you get it,
Bang bang.
guys.
Go crush the week.
Go fucking get after it. Go make
Q4
them.
loading, baby. Let's go.
What is this? The great lock in, as the kids say. Let's get
The
it.
great lock in, the final 90-day lock in.
Peace, guys.